One of the Cardinals' top prospects appears to be getting the call to the big leagues. Plus, what to do with Miles Mikolas, who is becoming more and more painful to watch each and every time he takes the mound. This is Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Lou, and a lifetime Cardinals fan, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can find me on Twitter X at JD Sports Radio. You can also follow the podcast's Twitter account at LO_Cardinals. I control that one as well. I do a lot more talking on the Cardinals version than like my own personal one. So if you send me messages and stuff on the personal one, I don't really go there all that often, but it is there for you. I want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Find us on YouTube as well. Like, subscribe, and comment and interact with us. Help our channel grow. Hit that notification button so you know that the new episodes are posted. And that way you don't miss out on anything. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So let's start with the newest stuff here today, which is some good news, I think, in my opinion. A report from MLB insider Robert Murray says that the Cardinals are going to call up number 4 prospect Thomas Saggese, who was acquired in the deal with Texas for Jordan Montgomery last year. This has also been confirmed by Katie Wu. Saggese hitting .253 this season. He's got 20 bombs. He's got 67 RBIs, 9 stolen bases. The OPS at .751 for Memphis this year. Really turned it on since July. He's been more of the hitter you saw last year when he won the AA MVP award. 11 of his home runs have come since the beginning of July. He hit .349 that month and .235 in August, but he popped 7 dingers in August. So it was a bit of a slow start for him this year coming out of the gate, but has turned things around, and now you're seeing him put up solid numbers once again. John Denton says the timing of this makes sense with the Cardinals wanting to give Mason Wynn a night off and Brendan Donovan still dealing with the infection in his swollen big toe. It's also another glimpse of the future for this team that has 2025 on their mind more now than ever after the rough series with the Mariners over the weekend where they ended up dropping 2 of 3 to a team that, you know, they're not a bad team overall, but offensively, they're supposed to be a really bad team. They've got elite pitching. Cardinals learned that the hard way by scoring just 7 runs in those 3 games. And I thought they were going to be close games, you know, a lot of 2-1, 3-2 type of ball games. The Mariners scored 6 in game 1 and then 10 in game 3. That was not what we were looking for. Game 1, Fetty was decent, but got yanked after 4 2/3 innings. And of course, after praising Matthew Liberatore so much recently, he gives up a 2-run jack. They get 3 off Leahy late in the game, and the Cardinals only mustered 1 run on Jordan Walker's solo shot, which was an absolute missile over the left field wall. Game 2, you get the brilliant performance from Kyle Gibson. He throws a season high 112 pitches. He strikes out 9, gets you through 6 2/3 innings. Then on the other side, Logan Gilbert, who's a very good pitcher as well. He's burning through the Cardinals lineup until the bottom of the 8th. Pedro Pages takes him deep into the night. 2-run shot. Cardinals win that one 2-0. But then we get to Sunday. And this is where I want to focus a little bit because this has been a very big topic of discussion. It's something we brought up here on Locked On Cardinals a few times already, is Miles Mikolas. Miles Mikolas gets the start, and it went about as bad as it can get. He was not good. The first 5 batters get hits. Double, single, 1-0 already. Single, double, 3-0, followed by another single. We're 5 batters into this sucker, and you're down 3-0 already. Gets the next 2 guys on strikes, first and third 2 out. Another base hit makes it 5-0 before our guys even pick up a bat. It took them 23 pitches just to get out of the first inning, or just to get to the first out. It wasn't the first inning, first out. 23 pitches. Comes out for the second inning, leadoff single, gets a fly out. Then Randy Arozarena rips a 2-run homer. You knew it would happen eventually, that Arozarena would do something. 7-0. And, these are the Mariners. These are the Mariners. Not a good offensive team whatsoever. Bottom of the American League in a lot of categories. If it wasn't for the White Sox, they'd be at the very bottom of a lot of the categories. Mikolas allows another double before the second inning finally ends. Ali closed the book on him after that, brings in Steven Matz for the third inning, and there you go. So, to go into a hole like that right away against the Mariners with the way their pitching staff is not good, almost insurmountable to come back against them when you've given up that amount of offense already. According to Rob Raines, Mikolas has now made 8 starts for the Cardinals since his last win, which was on July 21st. And I know wins and losses, we can, it depends on a lot of things for that to happen. But over that stretch, he's been terrible. 54 hits, 30 earned runs in 37 and a third innings. That's an ERA of 7.23, guys. 7.23. Now you go back to June 27. Mikolas has won only 2 of his last 13 starts. The ERA 6.75 over that stretch. ERA on the season of 5.55. According to Jeff Jones, the last Cardinals pitcher to throw at least 150 innings and have an ERA of 5.50 or higher was the legendary Kip Wells back in 2007. You're like, who? Exactly. They've only had 11 such seasons in their history, according to Jeff, 8 of which were in 1929 or earlier. The 3 modern times were Kip Wells, Jason Marquis in 07, and then Jose Jimenez in 1999. Some fantastic throwback names, by the way. Jason Marquis, Jose Jimenez, yeah. But this is the level that we've dropped to with Miles Mikolas. This is how bad he's gotten this season. I don't know what else you need to see from this guy to prove to you that he doesn't belong in this rotation anymore. Either come up with something like shoulder fatigue or sore hip or something. Oh, my hammy. Something. Sit him down and let someone else have a crack at his starting spot for at least the rest of this year. Now, the argument that you'll get from, people like from the Cardinals, I should say, not from fans. Fans aren't going to argue with me on this at all. But the argument that the Cardinals will say, well, we're paying him $17.6 million. That's why he needs to be in there. As lame as that contract is, if the goal is to win, why would you keep throwing him out there? Why? If the goal is to rebuild for next season, if that's what you're starting to think of, you're like, okay, 2025, let's start working on that instead. Why would you keep throwing him out there? Like, there's really not a whole lot of positives with Miles Mikolas taking the ball anymore. I feel the same way about Lance Lynn. Like, I don't know why we're going to start him. He's not going to be a part of the future of this team. I can't imagine that the Cardinals would bring him back next year and select his option. Kyle Gibson, maybe. I don't see how you're going to bring Lance Lynn back. But Miles Mikolas is not helping you win right now, and he's not going to help you figure out what you're going to do in the future with any of the other prospects that you have in your organization that probably deserve a crack at a starting job. So what is the point of him in this rotation anymore this season? The question is now, what do you do with him moving forward if you were to make that decision? So we'll tackle that question next on Locked On Cardinals. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV-based plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. And all you need to do is have a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime, which is great too, because if you don't like it, you move on. That's okay. But at least give yourself a chance to check it out. I mean, NFL Sunday Ticket lets you watch all of the out-of-market games. So whether you're a Packers fan like me, get well soon, Jordan Love. Whether you're still paying attention to the Rams, whether it's the Chiefs, maybe you're a Cowboys fan, whoever it is, and you live somewhere that is not, you don't get them every single regional game on the normal channels, then this is the deal for you. You should check it out. If you never had NFL Sunday Ticket before, it's a great opportunity to test it out for yourself. All you need to do, again, is visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and download America's #1 sportsbook. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. For your second listen, go check out the Locked On MLB podcast hosted by Sully. He's got you here daily to provide national expertise with his trademark humor. You could prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who's got you covered every single day on Locked On MLB. It is available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Remember, you can catch every pitch of the Cardinals' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Cardinals. So what do we do with Miles Mikolas, guys? What do you think? What do you want to do with him? All right. You know what he is. You know what he brings to the table each and every outing. Where do we go from here? All right. So this year, as I said, you could come up with some sort of injury designation. Like, we don't know, as of the time that I'm doing this, that we don't know what the corresponding move is with Thomas Saggese yet. So maybe something happens. But you can come up with some sort of injury designation. Like I said, arm fatigue is a good one. You can call up someone like Michael McGreevy, who was awesome in his one and only start at the major league level earlier this year and has continued to pitch pretty well at Memphis. Now, on the surface, if you go to McGreevy's numbers, they're not going to jump off the page at you. 8-8, 3.97 ERA, only 134 Ks and 145 innings. But since making that start for the Cardinals at the end of July, which he was brilliant in, he has gone 3-1 at Memphis with a 2.56 ERA, 38 strikeouts, and 35 2/3 innings. So whatever change he has made, it's working. It's working. And when you start thinking about next year's rotation, you know, where most of us have decided, hey, 2024 is not going to happen. They're going to miss the playoffs for a second straight year. Unfortunately, what's on tap for 2025? Well, when you start thinking about that rotation, Michael McGreevy has certainly put his name into the discussion. And I don't think at the beginning of the year you would have thought that, because he hadn't had much success in the minor leagues. He was just kind of a meh pitcher, just kind of middle of the road, and it didn't look like things were going to work out as well as you'd hoped when you took him in the first round a few years ago. But things have changed. There's been some adjustments made, and now Michael McGreevy looks like somebody that you legit need to start thinking about taking out one of those starting rotation spots. Right now, if you look ahead and you go towards what you got under contract for next year: Sonny Gray, Eric Fetty, Steven Matz, Miles Mikolas, and Andre Palante. You've still got the options on Len and Gibson, but currently you haven't activated that. So, you know, we don't really have to concern ourselves with that. But those are the five that I think are penciled in as your starting five. Gray and Fetty, they're not going anywhere, right? Unless you decide to trade Fetty away, which is something that I've seen people bring it up. They're like, well, what if you traded him again? Like, what if you were like, well, here's a year of Eric Fetty to somebody and you get some prospects in return? If you weren't blown away with what he did this year since he's been in a Cardinals uniform, I get it. It hasn't been the best. It hasn't been as good as you thought it was going to be. So that's an idea. But as of right now, I think Gray and Fetty, because at what Fetty costs is going to be, they're going to want him. You know, they're going to want to keep him around at 7.5. Steven Matz, who he threw okay on Sunday in relief after the Mikolas shellacking. He'll certainly get a crack at the rotation again. It's always about health with him, really. If he's healthy, he'll be in that rotation more than likely. And I've said before, with the lack of left-handed pitchers that you have available as a starter, it's kind of nice to have a Steven Matz there, when he's healthy, of course, to break up the righty look that you have in your rotation already. Andre Palante had an ugly game against Milwaukee. Okay. But he's been a really nice surprise for you and has definitely earned a spot in the rotation for next year. Hasn't done anything to screw that up, I don't think. That leaves Mikolas as your last guy and puts your former first rounders like Michael McGreevy, like a Zach Thompson, who was up on this club earlier this season and has been in Memphis ever since. They've been on the outside looking in now. What about Quinn Matthews? You know, we're starting to see guys not afraid to just let them pitch at the major league level, you know, younger pitchers. And again, Quinn Matthews was a college guy. He's not some high school kid who's been in minor league baseball for 2 years. He's only 21 or something. You know, he's a mature man now. So Quinn Matthews coming up and being a part of this rotation next year, I'm not ruling that out yet. I would. It's something at least that I bet fans would be excited to see if you actually thought about it. What about Gordon Graceffa, Ian Bedell? Can none of them be more competitive at the major league level than what you're getting from Miles Mikolas? Is that what we're telling us? Or are we saying, but he's making 17.6, so we have to put him in, despite him not being a good pitcher? And that, again, comes back to, is winning the most important thing here, or are you just worried about saving face because you screwed up on that contract and it was a mistake? Kevin Wheeler, whom you can hear in the afternoons on KMOX, was pointing out how bad Mikolas has been recently. And so, I tweeted him and I was like, hey, what would be your plan for Miles next year? If you were in charge, would you just cut your losses and move on from him the way that, the Cardinals did with Dexter Fowler? They shipped him to the Angels, ate almost all of the salary basically, and just kind of was like, look, we screwed up. let's move on. Or do you give Mikolas another shot in the spring? So those were the options I kind of threw at him. If we look at those two options, because I don't want to just glaze over it, but I know a lot of people just want to get rid of him. I know that, and I get it. I completely understand that. You want to DFA him, just remove him, eat the money. Again, this is a big part of this because Miles is still owed so much next year. And it's not just a couple of $1 million. We're talking $17.6 million that you would have to pay him to not pitch for you anymore. But that's what some fans want. They just want to see it and chalk it up as a loss cause and move on. Just move on with their lives. The other option, keep him around until next year, see if he can figure something out. Maybe the coaching staff or somebody come and figure out why he's become one of the worst pitchers in baseball and try to fix him in his final contract year with the team. This is the option that Kevin Wheeler went with. He said, I don't think I just flush the money down the drain, but I definitely make spring training a competition. They kind of went that route this past spring when it came to Steven Matz. They wanted to see what he could do, if he could stay healthy and make a determination from there as to whether or not he should be in the rotation or he should be shipped over to the bullpen despite being paid $11 million. Zach Thompson was in the mix, Matthew Liberatore as well. So maybe that's the approach that they go with in spring training. Give Mikolas a fair shot, give him the offseason to figure it out, see if there's something that we can do here, and then make a decision from that. The problem is, would the Cardinals actually do that? Is that something they would actually try? I'll tell you what I think about it next on Locked On Cardinals. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and a whole lot more. Because whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors, they've got you covered. They've got over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You're always going to find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you are burning rubber, not cash. Now, with all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy. It is very easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. So keep your ride or die alive at ebay.com/motors. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. Now go check out the Locked On MLB podcast. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day. You can find the link to Locked On MLB in the description, so you don't have to search. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So we go to those two options for Miles Mikolas. And personally, I think the best decision is to just move on because it's not my money, and I don't feel bad about them. And I don't want to keep handing the ball over to a guy who since July doesn't give you a chance to win most games. You know, you get these blip starts where he looks good, like against the Brewers. They won 3-0 in a game Miles Mikolas started. Who saw that coming? All right. So is he more that guy or is he the guy that constantly gives up 5-6 runs in 4 innings and just isn't very good. It's just one of the most hittable major league pitchers on the planet. I mean, come on. As much as it is, like, it is beautiful when Miles Mikolas is on. Don't get me wrong. Like, there are times when you watch him and he's drilling the corners. I mean, he is on the black of the plate all day. And then he's got that looping curve that comes and it's full. And sometimes it can be really, really nice, but it doesn't happen enough to where you can sustain him getting blasted 3 out of 5 starts, and that crushes your bullpen. You know, there's an effect to all of this. So the logical and what I think the more cardinal way to do this is they're going to give Miles a chance to redeem himself in the spring next year. I agree with Kevin Wheeler. I think they're going to bring him back again and say, all right, let's see what you got and take it from there. Probably not the approach most fans want, but I don't see this Cardinal ownership, this front office turning their back on a veteran. I certainly don't see Ollie turning his back on a veteran. He's not that manager to just say, well, you just don't have it anymore, dude. You're done and we're going to bench you. No, he kind of gives them the benefit of the doubt, which is an admirable thing. But there's a point where you just gotta cut the cord, man, and you gotta say, look, we're not winning ball games when you're throwing anymore, and we got to do something about that. Could you trade him? Do the Fowler, eat a substantial portion of his contract? Sure. That's here's my thing. That's great. If you want to do that, but you got to find somebody who wants him. And I've seen comments where, of course, there's going to be people out there that want him. You know, he eats innings and so. Well, does he? But he's only lasting 3 and 4 innings because he gets killed. Is he really eating that many innings for you? Sure, he's been healthy, but it's just not been good. And I mean, I'm sure there'll be somebody. If you're going to eat 10, 12 million of that contract, would pay him, you know, the 5 million to 7 million to watch him pitch. If I'm another team, I'm looking at it going, why would I want him? Even at a discounted price? Like, what is it about him that if he's not good enough to be in your rotation and you're the Cardinals who are just floating at 500, why the hell would I want him? So that's just how I think. Because I just think he's gotten that bad. Like, he's to the, you know, like I said, he's like the Patrick Corbin. He's the right-handed version of this. A very overpaid guy who at one time was a better pitcher, and it just isn't anymore, and gets creamed a lot of times. Like, not just 4 runs over 5 innings, like 7 in 4 and stuff. Like, it's bad. So, personally, I'm just ready to move on to the next era of Cardinals baseball. And Miles Mikolas feels like kind of hanging on to the past. Like, it's just like, it's kind of like with Goldie. Like, I understand why there's reasons to bring him back and stuff, but I feel like you're hanging on to the past of a portion of Cardinal baseball that hasn't won much. And I'm ready to see new faces and see what goes on with that. I'm just kind of done with it. He's like a relic. And I don't need to see it anymore. Certainly don't need to see it anymore this year. So we'll see what happens. New series begins tonight. Reds and Cardinals at Busch Stadium. The Reds essentially ended the Cardinals season with that sweep in Cincinnati, which arguably the ugliest series the Cardinals played all year when they just got waxed by the Reds the last time these two teams hooked up. Neither of them are going anywhere. The Reds certainly love to beat the Cardinals. That's kind of their thing. They really get enjoyment out of defeating the Cardinals. Tonight, you've got Andre Pallante getting the ball against one of the Reds' top pitching prospects in right-hander Rhett Lauder, who in his last appearance looked really, really good. Shut out the Houston Astros over 6 1/3 innings. Pallante looking to bounce back from his rough performance against the Brewers. You got a first pitch set for 6:45 St. Louis time. Wednesday, you're looking at Lance Lynn coming back, making his first start since going on the IL. Again, I don't know why we're going down this road with why are we watching Lance Lynn pitch still? Then Sonny Gray coming up on Thursday, which is a day game, and then they travel to Canada over the weekend. So I just want to see new blood. I just do. I've seen this show for 2 years, and we're over it, and we're ready to see new blood. I hope we get to see Thomas and Jaycee playing. I don't want to see him just rotting on the bench, with Donovan, dealing with that infection. I hope that we get to see a decent amount of Thomas and Jaycee playing second base, along with Mason Wynn at shortstop. So we'll see what happens there. I want to see new pitching. I want to see some of these young guys get a crack and get some major league experience. Why not Michael McGreevy again? Why? What has he deserved? What has he done to deserve to be stuck in Memphis anymore? Like, here we are creeping up on the middle of September. You're pretty much done. What are we doing? So we're going to let Lance Lynn and Miles Mikolas continue to pitch? Like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Also, want to address this here real quick. Super sad news yesterday to hear about the passing of one James Earl Jones. That sucked, man. Most of us grew up knowing James in some way, shape, or form. Darth Vader, obviously, the voice of Darth Vader in the Star Wars movies. Lion King. He was the king in Coming to America, one of the great Eddie Murphy movies. But obviously, baseball-wise, his roles in Field of Dreams and The Sandlot were awesome. The Sandlot obviously was a cool one because you didn't know that was who it was going to be. You had no idea. It was spoiler alert. He has the cameo in there as the owner of the beast. So that was really, really cool. But of course, the speech in Field of Dreams that he makes, obviously huge. The script portion of it is at the Baseball Hall of Fame. And I don't know one guy when it comes to Field of Dreams who doesn't get a bit emotional with the have a catch part, which is at the end there of Field of Dreams. But, the speech, which leads you into that whole section there, is obviously a big portion of what that movie is all about. And it's good. So if the Cardinals season has got you down right now, okay, but you're still a baseball fan and you're just bummed out because the Cardinals aren't who you wanted them to be this year, maybe flip on Field of Dreams to remind yourself why you love the game and why watching the Cardinals tonight can still be an enjoyable experience despite the playoff window seemingly closing every single day. So thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you guys haven't already, do me a solid. Give me a follow on Twitter, X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Please like and subscribe on YouTube to help our channel and our love for the Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason, and I will see you next time on Locked On Cardinals. Have a good one.